In this second tutorial, I'd like to talk a little bit more about a few of the other things you can do in Noteflight. So I hinted at it in the first video, but today I'd like to be a little bit more direct about it, and that is to tell you about how to save something in Noteflight. So let's say we change things around. We'll go to my pitch and put a flat in front of it. So we've changed something. Let's call it something else. That way we'll know for sure. Let's call it pieces A. We'll know for sure we've saved it. Go ahead and click Save. Now we can go back to our home screen. And there's pieces A. So I can now select pieces A. Load up pieces A, and there it is with the B flat having been saved. By the way, how did I do that? I went over here to where it says Noteflight UTA. I clicked on that. It said Noteflight UTA. It opened up the sidebar, and I just went ahead and clicked on Home, and that's how I got back to where all of my pieces are listed. We don't need to do that again, but that's how it works. By clicking on the main page again, I'm back in my full editing mode for Noteflight. Okay, so that's saving. What about rests? Well, if you already have notes in your piece, but you'd like to add a rest, that's a very easy thing to do. We can come in here, and we can select a note, and all we need to do is after it's selected, it turns red. We can hit the delete key, and it'll turn it into a rest. Say we wanted a 16th note rest here on beat 4. I can select that 16th note, hit delete, and I get a 16th note rest. Say the first note here, I'd like a quarter note rest. I can hit delete. It will replace it with a quarter note rest. If instead I'd like an 8th note rest, I can come up here, hit my 8th rest. We'll change that quarter note rest into 2 8th notes. I just hit the escape key. Now let's say I select the second 8th note, but instead would like to put the F back in. Note I always have this shadowy note head that follows me around. Since it thinks it's an 8th already, when I press it, it becomes an 8th note. So that's a simple way of adding rests. If I select an entire measure, as we noted in the last video, the first thing that happens is you get actually an entire measure lit up, kind of highlighted, and we see the note floating around. But let's say I wanted to start not with a note, but with a rest. I can come up into durations and simply select, for example, quarter rest. And then I could have, well, let's say I wanted to put a half note in. I can select the next rest, put a note in, change it to a half, or a dotted half, whatever I want. The other thing you'd like to be able to do, I'm sure, is put dynamics in your piece. That's a fairly simple process. So select the note under which you would like dynamics to appear, and then go up here to text, the text option over on the left of your screen. Here I've got a number of options under text. A lyrics option, a performance text option, an expression text, and of course this looks like a dynamic. So let's go ahead and hit that. What it does is it creates a little box underneath your note. Now you can simply type in from your keyboard the dynamic you would like. Here's a mezzo forte. Maybe over here we would like a pianissimo. So I select the note. I go to the little forte looking like thing. It creates a box over here. Now perhaps a pianissimo. If I'd like a slur, I can simply select the first note that I want the slur to begin on, type S, and voila, I have a slur. The last thing I'd like to talk about is articulation. Your articulation box may not be showing. So what I would do is, you'll remember this little drop-down menu over on the far left of your screen allows you to come down and find articulation. So Once we check the articulation box, we'll see that this whole articulation thing comes to the foreground. We have, in fact, a slur, an accent, staccato, tenuto, strong accent, staccatissimo. Let's focus on maybe the accent symbol and or the staccato. So let's say we wanted to start with an accent. Simply select the note, choose accent, and there you go. Or select the note, choose staccato, there you go. Let's say we wanted a whole string of notes to be staccato. What you can do is choose the first note in that string, this A for example, then hit Shift and select the last note that you want to include, and it will highlight all of those notes. Now I can simply hit the staccato, and it will apply staccato to all of those notes that I've highlighted. If I want to get out of that, I can either press somewhere else in the measure that's not going to produce a note, or I could have hit escape.